It's like we're back in the studio. Los Angeles, 1997.
That's a good analogy.
Brett Gurwitz behind the controls. This is Brett.
I don't need to tell the truth, but I never lie. I don't need to bow to you. You're just passing by. I never wanted to be the one you bitch and moan and come home to. But as long as you look good, I'll come back to you. Get inside my troubled mind with all of your threats. Sometimes I think I was blind. Not before we met. I never wanted to be the one that you depend on for your life. When you cry, it smells like soup. Sound like Shona knife. Never feel though I said all night. I got a right. Each time I said all night. No, I just might. You make me stay all night. It's just that side of you tonight that makes me stay all night. I'm gonna stay all night. You're an evil little girl. I'm a twisted man, tearing through your perfect world. Make you understand. I never wanted to be the one you pick and moan and come home to. But as long as you look good, I'll come back to you and do the things you do. Stay all night. I got it right. Each time I stay all night. No, I just might. You make me stay all night. It's just that side of you tonight that makes me stay all night. I'm gonna stay all. I would never treat you bad. You deserve the best from me. If you want to keep your place, you better get down on yours.
Yeah, Todd wrote this one.
Yeah. You think?
This is not mine.
Stand all night, I got a right. Each time I stand all night, no, I just might. You make me stand all night. It's just that side of you tonight that makes me stand all night. I'm gonna stand all night.
R.I.P. Todd.
The round robin. Your questions, comments, wagers. Give us a reason. Sleeper fantasy play. Your best alternative line. Whatever you have. Text the round robin 757-354-5517.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose cross nights and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, take us past our spangled banner yet wave, for the land of the brave and the home of the brave.
This is the Deep End Broadcasting Network.
You are tuned in to the Round Robin with Stephen Murray on Deep End Broadcasting.
singing Bible night before my praises on the bed. Wherever head I see the crowd and flashing blue red lights. I'd rather see the college outside.
If you've been any part of sports radio, sports TV today, then you would know that you have been Aaron Rodgers, Achilles ankled to death at this point. That's all you've heard about. That's all you've talked about. And that's not our job here in the Round Robin, broadcasting live from the Chicks Beach Studios at Virginia Beach, Virginia, the United States of America. It is 4:04 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We always look forward. We try not to look back here in the Round Robin. I'll reflect for a second, though. It does suck. I mean, you get all this hype about the Aaron Rodgers Achilles, or Aaron Rodgers, and then the Achilles comes through on just the fourth play of the game. I mean, life can be very, very cruel at times. So much off-season lead up to this. I mean, you build up to this huge, huge crescendo. It's 9/11 in New York. There's rainbows in the city, lights going up where the Twin Towers were. And then all that is literally like a giant, giant balloon and just the tiniest pin drop, and the whole thing burst. And that's exactly what happened last night in the Meadowlands. The Jets find a window over the Bills, and the NFL, of course, is off to a very, very tricky start already. We'll talk football in the first segment, and we'll do baseball here coming up, and we'll try to just do a little bit of a shorter show on Tuesdays. I think that's been kind of the formula here the last few weeks, and it seems to be better. We don't overload ourselves here early in the week. We'll try to build a good first impression of what we have coming up on the horizon, and of course, we'll stick to the baseball. And there's a lesson to be learned here with the baseball people if you're involved with that, as there's only less than 20 games left in Major League Baseball before we have the playoffs. You'll want to, if you're dabbling in that or plan to, because you've been playing around with football and now you need something else to do like baseball, there's going to be a bunch of no-nos not to do here in the last couple of weeks. So we'll review that next segment, and then we'll go ahead and call it a day, and we'll build up tomorrow and Thursday's show. Of course, we have Minnesota and the Eagles, a house of horrors at the Lincoln Financial Field for the Vikings, and the Eagles will host them on Thursday Night Football. But yes, Aaron Rodgers' injury sucks. I don't know what else to really say about it at this point. I mean, we can dissect it till it's blue in the face. Did the Jets go get another quarterback? I heard an argument for Stafford today. I thought that one actually made the most sense right now. Matthew Stafford for the Rams. Can they lure him away, pull him away, and make that happen? You know, if the Rams are truly tanking, that's something that they would entertain. But after they went up and whooped up on Seattle, which that was probably one of our worst calls of the week, let's be honest. But a lot of people, I mean, survivor pool, many people had Seattle. So we weren't the only ones thinking that. But Seattle just doesn't have an offensive line. They can't protect Geno. They can't move the ball with continuity, we'll just say. I'm sure they'll be able to get their plays down the field at some point, but it didn't happen on Sunday against the Rams. And let's just kind of take a look at the standings where everyone is just after 1 week. And all these games do matter the same. So, you know, you can use the old argument. It's just week one. What does it matter? Teams can figure it out. Well, you're on the clock now. And if you don't have a win, then you're behind the 8 ball already going into week 2. So that's the way I'll see it. The winners, of course, the Jets and Dolphins in the East. Man, that division has to look awfully appetizing for Miami, especially if they can get a win in New England on Sunday night coming up. The AFC North, all right, the Ravens and Browns get wins. So Bengals, Steelers behind the 8 ball. The Jags, if you took them to win the South, then you already got a game up on everybody. Everyone lost in that division besides Jacksonville. How about the Raiders, the lone team atop the West right now? Everyone else with a loss. The Giants, the only winless team in the NFC East. Kind of how we thought things may play out a little bit with Green Bay and Detroit. Chicago was a no-show. They didn't look good. Did they even have a preseason? And then Minnesota, again, they just do what Minnesota does. And they disappoint you at the end. Hey, and how about the Buccaneers? We said, watch out. They could be better than what everyone says. Well, they have one win. The Falcons and Saints do as well. Panthers only winless team there. And the Rams and 49ers who play each other this week. So the 49ers can put a stranglehold on the NFC West already if they win against the Rams. Say the Seahawks lose to to Detroit, and the Cardinals with the task at home to try to beat the Giants. But the Cardinals played better than I thought. They give them credit. Washington didn't nearly perform the way that they possibly could. The teams that really stuck out to me, obviously, were Dallas. San Francisco looked good. Green Bay as well. Green Bay looks like they are a solid team. They could actually win that division if they can play like that every week, for sure. So Detroit and Green Bay look to be the two top dogs there. Minnesota has a lot to prove. I think they're going to find themselves 0-2 out of the gate. And the Bears, they'll have to go win down in Tampa. So let's go ahead and look at the games for next week. Let me pull them up here. And we'll see what we have. And we'll just kind of get our early kind of first gut instinct. I don't know a lot of these lines. I haven't looked at them yet. So this is all going to be new to me for the most part. Eagles and Vikings, 7 and 48.5. I mean, like I said, the link has been a house of horror for the Vikings. Rabid fan base. They can't stand Minnesota when they come in there, I feel like. I mean, they're egging the bus, throwing beers at the bus that the Vikings are on as they're pulling into the stadium. I mean, they loathe them. It goes back to the playoff games that they've had together here. But the Eagles didn't look super, super great at New England. Maybe I'm going to give the Patriots defense really good credit. That's the one thing I'm going to say. Overall, the one thing that stuck out is, man, there are some really, really good defenses. And I feel like a little bit better here for some of these teams than we've seen in the years past. And even the good ones seem improved, like the Jets, the Cowboys, the 49ers. I mean, they were all good. Pittsburgh exposed a little bit. Maybe they're not as good as we thought. But the Patriots really held the Eagles in check, forcing turnovers as well. And they had chances to win that game. So there are some good defenses out there. And, the Rams, I mean, they played good against Seattle. I mean, Seattle didn't have anything for them. So there are some good defenses that have shown up so far. And we'll see two of them with the Jets and Cowboys. We'll get to that game here in a minute. Green Bay is at Atlanta. Interesting game there. Just a slight favorite for Green Bay, -1.5 and 40.5. The Packers, I feel like, are one of these teams going to score some points with that offense. Even without Watson, they seemed to move the ball very, very effectively and had a good game plan. And Jordan Love had a good rhythm to him. So down in Atlanta, I'm going to have to give Love a nod over Ritter, the quarterback there. So my first instinct for sure is a Green Bay as a road favorite at Atlanta to take a W there. I watched every one of these games, and there was some bad football at 1 o'clock, better football at 4 p.m. And, of course, the night game was a whitewash. But Green Bay really, really turned it on, and when they had that ball moving, I mean, they have some impressive weapons still with the running backs in particular as well. We'll have to check on the Aaron Jones, his status, as he did leave the game a little dinged up there, I believe, at the end. But Green Bay, I would kind of look at right now, potentially. Interesting game with the Bears and the Buccaneers. But I think the Bucs can probably handle business at home here and find themselves at 2-0. They're just laying a field goal -3, so that number comes cheap. Over under 41.5. And I wouldn't doubt if there's points in this game. We'll have to take a look at the weather and see how that does as well. Because the Bears can give up points. I can tell you that right now. It looks like their defense is really, really shabby. And the Buccaneers, tougher tests. Baker didn't throw for a ton of yards, but they did enough to win the game. And you think that they'd be a little bit better at home on offense if the Bears defense can kind of play themselves down. Detroit against Seattle. Detroit, I think this game could be settled in the trenches for sure with Detroit and Seattle. Seattle just not good on the line. Detroit does have a good line on both sides. So that could be the difference here as 5.5 is the spread, 47 there in Detroit. Sunday, 1 o'clock is that game. Also Sunday, 1 o'clock, the Raiders and the Bills. Now the Bills a heavy favorite, 9.5, 47. I don't get it. I think the Raiders are decent. I know it's a kind of a tough environment, but the Bills have played to be an under team. Garoppolo made the plays when he had to. How about Jacoby Myers? What a great little asset that he's going to make Devontae Smith better. And he's going to make Devontae Adams better, and he's going to make himself better just with Devontae Adams on the other side as well. So good little addition by Myers. I'll credit the Ant-Man for that. Chargers are at Tennessee. Tennessee will try to rebound after the loss in New Orleans. Tannehill couldn't get anything through that Saints defense. Neither could Derrick Henry. The Chargers lose a shootout to the Dolphins. Ravens and Bengals. Bengals are -3.5 and 46.5. So can the Bengals rebound? A poor performance against another good defense, Cleveland. We'll mention that right now. Poor performance by Cincinnati in Cleveland. So can they rebound at home with the Ravens? 3.5, 46.5. No real gut instinct on that one yet. Colts laying a point at Houston with the over-under of 40. I don't really have a feel for that yet. Kansas City -3 at Jacksonville, over-under 51.5. I could see the Jags winning this game for sure. We'll see if Kelsey gets back in the lineup. That's going to be a big question mark. If he is not, this is going to be a tough game for the Chiefs. I like the weapons better on Jacksonville than I will on the Chiefs because I think the quarterbacks can actually equal themselves out here and better skill positions for the Jags for sure. 51.5 to total. Again, Kansas City -3 at Jacksonville. 49ers are at the Rams. Now, the Rams, again, they play tough, and they sometimes can play the 49ers tough till they pull away. We'll see here. It's a divisional matchup. It's going to be a tougher game. -8, over under 44. It'll be interesting to see what Del Grande says about that one. Giants -6 at Arizona, over under 39.5. Now, if I hold true to form on Survivor, and I'll talk Survivor pool in a second, I'll take the Giants with at least one of my picks here to try to fade Arizona. But, man, that was a tough pill to try to swallow in that second half in Washington with the Commanders as they barely got by Arizona. They should not be proud of that victory. I'll say that. Dallas and the Jets. Dallas up to -9.5 now, over under 39.5. Wow. So Dallas is getting a lot of credit with the books. They're a very public team. This is going to be a fade of Zach Wilson for sure. But the defense can probably keep them in it, and that's a big number to try to cover. So sketchy game for 4:25 Eastern time on Sunday. And the Commanders are at the Broncos. Broncos -3.5. Over under is 39.5. We shall see with that. With the Commanders, how can they rebound from? Well, they got to take their act on the road, and their act wasn't very pretty in the winning. Now the winning ugly is better than losing pretty, right? So you take that, but Denver with it, I would say kind of an ugly home loss. They'll get a mulligan again against Washington. 3.5, 39.5 there for that game. That just smells under to me, to be honest. Miami -2 is at New England, 46.5. This is a fishy line. Why are the Dolphins only favored by 2 here? We saw what they did at the Chargers with a win. Are you saying that the Patriots are on that level with the Chargers? I don't know about that. We shall see. I mean, that's a lot of speed to contain, but the defense for New England was really, really good. So it'll be interesting to see if they can keep Tua and company in check. And Monday night, a pair of games, divisional games as well. Saints laying a field goal at Carolina, 40.5. Browns laying 2.5 at Pittsburgh, 39.5. It'll be the rookies' home debut for Bryce Young against the Saints. Were they impressive in victory? Not really. They won ugly, but again, winning ugly better than losing pretty. Carolina could have maybe have won that game, but they didn't really show much on offense. So I'll fear for them in this spot. Rivalry game right here with the Steelers and the Browns. Steelers underdogs at home. That's an interesting scenario. They just got their doors blown off, but that was by maybe the best team in the NFL. But the Browns, they beat down one of the better teams themselves. So interesting game there. We'll see if the Steelers can level things out. Now with Survivor Pool, and I was amazed to see how many people did get eliminated. I thought there would be more on Washington, but Minnesota took a lot of picks. Also, Seattle took a lot of picks. There were also a lot of Kansas City picks. So a fair amount of people eliminated in the couple of Survivor pools that I'm in already. So I'll take that. I had 5 of 6 picks on Washington with 1 on Seattle. So I'm going to move forward. I don't think I can put everything on the Giants against the Cardinals like I kind of planned to. That 40-0 game scares me. And this one's on the road with the Giants. I'm going to have to do one to stick to my theory, but it looks like I'm going to have to spread things around. I could do so as early as Thursday, I think, with the Eagles. Go ahead and use them up maybe. The other game I'm actually looking at now is Dallas against the Jets. You got to think that a little bit better offense, better quarterback. Wilson, he's going to have to prove it a little bit more. But, man, that's a tough defense. So maybe not the best pick either. I've got to really think about things as we kind of move through the week, as there are some tough picks if you're doing Survivor. You could always take the 49ers at the Rams, I guess. But the Rams, they shelled out last week, and I don't want to lose them 2 weeks in a row either. So interesting calls as far as Survivor goes. I don't like the Bills against the Raiders. The Bills just scare me. Josh Allen now, I mean, I said it last year on the show, and people kind of looked at me like I was crazy. And I was saying, man, is this guy kind of overrated a little bit? I mean, he really does do a lot of stupid things. I mean, this is what I said last year. And what does he do last night? He throws at least 2 inexcusable interceptions. At least 2. The third was maybe a good play, but he's been turned into a turnover machine. He's a high-risk, high-reward player, and usually the risk is not winning out in the professional football. I mean, you're talking about smart athletes that you're going against on defense, and, I mean, he's putting his body up for risk all the time running as well. So I'm just waiting for him to take a pop the wrong way, kind of like Aaron Rodgers did, and then there you go, Bills. You're back down to your number 2 quarterback, which is whoever that is. I don't even think it's Case Keenum anymore. So they don't have much behind them, that's for sure. So interesting slate of games coming up week 2. I would say the best bet to me right now on the board looks like Green Bay at Atlanta. I'd like to see the Aaron Jones status a little bit more. And I don't know. So, Buccaneers maybe even at home over the Bears. The Bears just didn't look good at all. The Bucs have a good defense now. They're going to be able to maybe not be fooled here. I mean, their coach is Todd Bowles is a defensive guru. All right, we got to remember that. So if anyone's going to know how to stop a Justin Fields kind of offense, it's going to be him. All right, so Buccaneers and Packers look like maybe the two best plays to me. I would even lean towards Detroit over Seattle just because of the trenches as well. And I could really see all these other games being close. I do like Jacksonville too. I'm going to kind of start looking at that one as well. All right. So we have some opinions formed. We have some Survivor. Let's go ahead and look at college football. We'll do that real briefly, and then we'll go take our one break, come back with the baseball slate, and then we'll get you out of here. Thursday, Friday games are Service Academy games. Navy plays Memphis Thursday. We're not going to be too interested there. UTSA against Army, Texas San Antonio on Friday night. Air Force and Utah State Friday night. And then we get to the better game Saturday. Let's see. We have LSU at Mississippi State. Florida State at Boston College is a noon game. The Seminoles are laying 26.5 here, which sounds like a lot. But, man, this is a good team. They're going to roll their opponents, and I don't see why Boston College would be a team that is going to prevent that from happening, to be honest. So I would look potentially towards some Florida State blowouts here. They blew out Southern Miss last week as well, and I think they're going to continue to roll. I mean, they are one of the funner, better teams to watch. Penn State's at Illinois. We won't really have an opinion on that. Illinois is not a good team, so Penn State should be able to roll them. But that spread's 14.5. Kansas State, Missouri, we'll hold off on that for sure. Let's see. Wisconsin hosts Georgia Southern. Notre Dame is playing Central Michigan. Notre Dame's on fire. Sam Hartman is money. Over under 54.5 in this game. Michigan State put up a ton of points on Central Michigan. I don't see why Notre Dame can't either. Notre Dame laying 5 touchdowns and 54.5. Maybe that's just the layup, to be honest. Let's see. South Carolina plays Georgia. This is like Georgia's hardest game on the schedule, and they're 27.5 point favorites. So what does that say? Interesting game with North Carolina and Minnesota. North Carolina fortunate to survive Appalachian State. Let's see. What else? Northwestern and Duke. Duke is on fire. Number 21 ranked now are the Blue Devils. So Northwestern will come in town after getting a nice win for their program as a home underdog to UTEP. Iowa gets Western Michigan. 42.5 seems like a high number here. But Western Michigan allowed Syracuse to get 1 million points last week. Oklahoma's at Tulsa, laying 27.5. Alabama is out South Florida, minus 31.5. And South Florida's a little better this year. Watch out. Tough game for Saban to go down there and play. So I'm assuming that's going to be in Buccaneer Stadium. Maybe pay attention to the weather as well. If you get some choppy field conditions on Saturday, that's really going to slow down Justin Fields and company in Tampa Bay on Sunday. Woo, a little fall allergies kicking in here. Ohio State plays Western Kentucky. Oregon State, San Diego State. No opinions on Western Kentucky, Ohio State. Washington is at Michigan State. Minus 16.5 and 57.5. Now, Washington's been good. Now, Michigan State has the coaching scandal. I mean, what a mess that is. Go Google that if you don't know anything about it. But the players have been playing decent for Michigan State. So can they find some momentum? I think that's a big number to cover at home. To be honest, Washington, that's going to be a tough game for them, I think, at 5 o'clock against Michigan State. Let's see. Tennessee and Florida is a 7 p.m. game. Minus 6.5. We'll see if I'm even still awake at this point. It is the old birthday on Saturday, so we'll literally old. So trying to stay up to watch these games will be, I'm sure, a handful for me at this point. Pittsburgh and West Virginia as the backyard brawl returns. -1.5 for Pittsburgh, 50.5. Really no opinion there. BYU and Arkansas, Syracuse, Purdue, Georgia Tech, Mississippi. Interesting non-conference matchups, to be honest. It's good to see these teams playing these kind of games against teams you normally don't play. I mean, BYU is now Big 12 against SEC, ACC and Big 12, ACC Big 10, ACC and SEC. And we'll try to pick all the ACC games on Thursday. Of course, we lost the show Thursday with the AC issues in the studio, where it was 120 degrees. Better weather this week here in the lovely Commonwealth. Michigan and Bowling Green, not too exciting there. Do we have a good night game? Hawaii and Oregon. Oregon plays Colorado coming up soon. Colorado does play Colorado State. Wyoming against Texas. How about Texas against Alabama? That was a great game. Clemson, Florida Atlantic. Kansas and Nevada is a late game. Kansas laying 27.5 points at Nevada. If they're laying 27.5 points, Kansas at Nevada, I'm taking Kansas. I'm going to tell you that right now. Let's see. Colorado and Oregon comes up next week. Look ahead line there. Oregon -14.5, 69.5. All right, let's go ahead and we'll take a little bit of a break here. I'll throw a pie taster song in there as well. I want to regroup, re-rack everything with the baseball menu for tonight. We got some big no-nos of what to do and what not to do in baseball. With less than 20 games left, don't find yourself betting stupidness. So we shall be back right after this. Dependable Solutions can provide all voiceover services for your advanced audio production needs. Think of us as an inexpensive option, no matter what the size of the project is. From one-word cameos to full script productions, contact Dependable Solutions at 757-354-5517.
Know your gambling limits. Don't ever bet what you can't cover. Wagering on sports is only fun when you do it the right way. Not every bet will win. When you get on a bad run, know it and avoid trouble. Know your gambling limits.
time. You said that I would change my mind. You said I'd lose my only chance to go and get out. It turns out you don't really know what you've been missing, my friend. And you might have her now. I got something better.
Family owned and operated, CP Shuckers Cafe and Raw Bar specializes in delicious cuisine, refreshing drinks, and a laid-back atmosphere. We opened our doors in 1995 and have enjoyed being a place to either relax or celebrate ever since. Whether you are in the mood to indulge in a great meal with your friends and family or watch the game, we promise that our inventive menu, attentive service, and skilled bartenders will have you truly satisfied. Both of our locations have spacious outdoor patios for enjoying the breeze and catching a little sun. Our friendly staff at CP Shuckers will make your next dining experience a pleasant one by delivering personal care. We are open until 2 a.m. Full menu will be served until 10 p.m. and late night limited menu until 1 a.m. For larger parties, please give the location of choice a call. Pacific Avenue, 757-425-8676 or Shore Drive, 757-412-2929. More information at cpshuckers.com. Thank you for your continued support and have a shucking good time.
Control your alcohol. Don't fight. Don't drink and drive. Your one punch could kill someone. It happens. If you're behind the wheel, you may think you are fine, but then the other driver is under the influence of texting, and then you are done. Control your alcohol.
The other thing I meant to say is what I noticed is there is a great disparity in some of those NFL lines with the totals. There are a ton of totals, 40 points or less, it seems like, compared to the past years. So right then and there, that tells you that defense is a little bit better than these offenses right now. So keep that in mind. Now the totals above 40 were way up there. I mean, we're talking 47, 48s, even one or two above 50. So a very big disparity with some lower totals and higher totals, and not a lot in the middle. One game is final in Major League Baseball today. 3-2 Yankees win at Fenway. All right, the Royals and White Sox getting ready to get underway here in about 2 minutes. Brady Singer at Dylan Cease, minus 132 for the White Sox, over under 8.5. We talked about this game last week, how you want to run for the hills in Kansas City with the same two pitchers. I said run for the hills. They're two pitchers who are supposed to be better than what they are. They're not very good, either one of them, this year. And that proved to be the case last week with the White Sox going up 6-0 and blowing the lead and losing it. So we'll expect some fireworks. 8.5 seems a little bit low for these two teams tonight. But this is your lesson, people. As far as games with less than 20 left to play. And I'll pull up the standings right now, and all this will be part of that. Is right now, you really just want to bet on teams where it matters to them. And if you can, pick against the bad ones. And that's literally it. Where we have the Central, where we have Minnesota, Cleveland, Detroit, separated by 7.5, 8.5 games with the Twins, who have a decisive lead in the Central. These games just aren't going to matter as much anymore going down the stretch. Talking about teams like the Guardians and Tigers, once they find themselves eliminated from playoff contention. I mean, you're already seeing it with the Guardians. They've lost 3 of their last. They've lost 3 in a row and 3-7 in their last 10. Detroit, now they've been playing feisty, but just a little too late, and maybe a victim of just one of those teams who actually was putting out a little bit more of an effort. And, some of these teams just, aren't going to be fully mind on baseball here. Tampa Bay and Baltimore both are separated by 3 games in the East. The Rays trimming that lead last night. They kept pace, what they did. But they were 4 games back over the weekend and were able to gain a little bit of ground, both with good wins last night. Tampa Bay is in Minnesota, so we'll get to that game. Baltimore home against the Cardinals. For what it's worth now, the Cardinals are a bad team, so yes, you do look to pick on them unless they're playing someone of their equal tier, like the Pirates, all right, or the Padres or someone like that. Then it becomes a toss-up game. Flying through the standings here, we'll identify the good teams and the bad teams just real quick. But in their last 10, the Orioles are 8-2. Tampa and the Blue Jays both 7-3. Yankees 7-3. They're the one surprise team still, as they kind of turn it on here a little bit lately, and they go ahead and win again today. Red Sox fumbling a little bit, 4-6 overall. Cleveland, the White Sox and Royals, all 3-7 in their last 10. 7-3 for the Tigers. Minnesota 6-4. In the West, I mean, it is past. I mean, it literally is like hot potato. You take it. Talking about first place, but now the Astros sit up 2 games above the Rangers, and Seattle is, after being in first place, is now 2.5 games back. 3-7 for Seattle in their last 10, 4-6 and 5-5 for the Rangers, Astros, respectively. The one hot team in the L, and this is going to be the whole National League, is the Marlins, 7-3 in their last 10. We have some bad teams with the Nationals, 3-7 in their last 10. They've hit the tank. 2-8 for the Rockies. They're still bad. Everybody else besides those 3 are right around the 500 clip in their last 10. So there's going to be a lot of like the Mets. They don't care at this point, but they're at least going to give you an effort some nights, and they're that's the thing. If a team's playing more relaxed, knowing that they're out of it, I still need to go collect my paycheck, be a professional. Pressure's not on me. You're bound to get some good performances out of them. Collaboratively, like the Mets can do, since they've been a little bit better lately, but it's just not enough to keep them in it. But you don't want to bet like the Mets, against the Cardinals right now. It's just a kind of a toss-up either way, where more so if you have a Baltimore Cardinals matchup, you definitely can trust the Orioles in that respect. All right, so let's see here. Basically, pick on the bottom feeders with teams that have to have it. All right. And, if you have a mid-tier team against a bottom feeder, don't really maybe expect it. All right, let's go through the odds. I mean, this is one of those games. The Nationals and the Pirates, minus 146. Bailey Falter is the pitcher against Adon for the Nationals. The Pirates minus 146.9. Now, Washington's capable of winning this game, and Pittsburgh, who knows what you're going to get from them. So, I mean, at the end of the day, this just becomes an unplayable game for the most part. We can talk ERAs and stuff like that if you want to. If we want to come up with a little bit of tidbit for you, we can. But overall, this is not a game where I'm looking to get invested in. 76 degrees and sunny skies here. Both of these pitchers with ERAs pretty high, 4.65 for Falter, and Joan Adon, 5.56 ERA for him. Again, just there's no you're really struggling if you want to have action on this game. Basically, two good teams playing in Citizens Bank Park, the Braves and the Phillies. The Braves 94-50 on the year. They did clinch a playoff spot. Their magic number has to be pretty low at this point, 2 or 3 games or something like that. And the second place team is the Phillies. So that magic number goes away pretty fast here. But Max Fried and Wheeler are the pitchers. Two good ones. 7.1 or 7-1, 2.70 ERA for Fried. Wheeler is 11-6, 3.49 ERA. The career batting averages against Wheeler for the Braves, not good. Acuna 250, Albies 158. I mean, these are multiple at bats too. I mean, these are over 30 at bats. 278 for Riley, Olsen 188, Ozuna 195, Darno 444, Rosario hitless 0 for 11, Arcia 3 for 13, 231, and Michael Harris the second 1 for 7. A little bit better success against Fried. Harper hits 310 against them. Real Muto 342. Castellanos does really nicely against them, hitting 636. Trey Turner 406. So the Phillies definitely do have an edge if you're going to play against the pitchers. So maybe you take the Phillies in the first 5 innings or something like that here tonight. But that line is, let's see, Braves minus 122 over under 8.5 there. So Phillies catching money. Not too bad, considering that they can hit Fried pretty well, and the Braves lineup cannot hit Wheeler. All right, so maybe an edge there with the Phillies. You're probably going to get a nice payout on the blowout, since we do try to give you the alternate numbers to have ultimate success. 5-1 odds if you think the Phillies can beat the Braves by 4 or more. And again, I mean, you always get the argument, you're crazy. That's a lot of runs to win by 4, blah, 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 blah. Well, look at the scoreboard every night in any sport, and you will see blowouts. So if this team owns this pitcher, then, there's a chance for it. All right. That's just the way I kind of see it. And you know what? We haven't been the worst at baseball, to be honest, here in the last 4 to 5 to 6, 7 weeks. We've definitely strung together a few winners Friday night as well, which was able to bankroll the entire weekend. Let's see here. The Reds and Tigers with Williamson and Wentz. Again, I don't know about this one, to be honest. Let me get back to the standings here because I kind of meant to go through the playoff standings as well, and this does apply to the Reds. So let's go ahead and we'll start with them in the National League. Reds now sit 2 games out of the playoff hunt. Marlins, Giants right there. Diamondbacks lead both of them by 1.5. The Cubs have 2 games to the better. The Phillies 3.5 games to the better. So still a lot to play for in terms of the wild card. Not as much in the divisions as most everything seems settled except for what's happening in the Central for the National League. And then also that tight race with Tampa and Baltimore in the East. And then the hot potato division of the AL West with Seattle, Texas, and Houston. American League, a little bit more decisive. Raised 9 games to the good in the wild card. So even if they can't catch the Orioles, they are sitting comfortably. They have just 17 games left to play on the season. They played 145, so 17 for them. Blue Jays half a game up on the Rangers, who hold the last spot. Then Seattle a half game back. Red Sox 6.5, and the Yankees trying to make that surge 7.5. Now they've gained a little bit of ground here. The Yankees by going 7-3 in this last 10 games. The Rangers 4-6 in their last 10. Seattle 3-7. I mean, these teams have just not played well, trying to close out the season and get the division crown. A lot of teams falling apart here at the end, you could say. All right, so Detroit, Cincinnati. Yes, Cincinnati, 2 games out. They need it, and Detroit's playing feisty. Still not technically out of their wild card. They would have to win it out for sure. For the most part, they'd have to go on some 18-2 epic run to end the season. But we'll go ahead and just pass on this for tonight. The Rangers and the Blue Jays. Scherzer really bombed out last time at home against Verlander. We had to lean with him, and he got torched early against the Astros. He'll be at Toronto tonight against Ryu. Scherzer, the favorite, -116. Over under is 8.5. I think we avoid this again altogether. Both of these teams kind of need it for the most part. So they're kind of on an equal effort of playing level. Now, Scherzer does get bombed out. The Blue Jay bats do scare me. A nice win by Texas last night as they thumped the Blue Jays. But, it's just this one doesn't interest me the most. Diamondbacks at the Mets. I mean, what kind of effort do you get from the Mets? For sure. We talked about them being one of those teams. They can come up good. They can come up bad. The Diamondbacks sitting right there in that one wild card spot still. You can't fully trust them, though. So that makes this a harder game for sure to win in New York. Now, they did last night. I think they won last night. Do I have to flip back to that? I guess. Let's see here. Yeah, 4-3 winners last night for the Diamondbacks. I knew it was a one-run game. Oh, yeah, Tommy Pham came back to haunt the Mets. How about that? 74 degrees and sunny there in Flushing. Just 35 and 34 at home are the Mets. Let's see here. Rain Nelson, 7-7 on the year, 5.30 ERA. Jose Buto, 0-2 in his brief major league career, 3.86 ERA for him. He has pitched 21 innings, only 18 hits in those innings, and 1 home run. So you like to see that. You like to see the walks down, though, with 15 walks. You just might get a good effort from him tonight. So it's hard to really bet on the Diamondbacks I'd rather see the Diamondbacks play someone like the Rockies right now, to be honest. Game 2 of a doubleheader with the Yankees and Red Sox is off the board. Crawford and Rodon. So no play there. Back into the doubleheader. Neither bullpen getting torched in that first game. So we'll see. You need a good outing from Rodon, who seems to be a little bit better lately. Our boy Chargois for the Marlins, plus 138. Brewers have Freddie Peralta on the mound, minus 164. Over under 7.5 there. 741 is the first pitch here. Let's see here. As we are 0-0, bottom of the first with the White Sox and the Royals. But a man on first and second for the White Sox, no out. Game 1 of the doubleheader 2 with the White Sox. Let's see here. All right, so we're all the way down here now. Man, these Brewer pitchers have been good. Woodruff with a shutout last night. Peralta, 3.89 ERA for him, 11-8 overall for a record. JT Chargois, 3.63 ERA. He's pitched decent for Miami, but they got smoked last night. The Brewers are trying to convince the rest of the National League that they are a team to be reckoned with. So I would actually kind of favor them against the Marlins team, even though the Marlins are 7-3 in their last 10. I like the Brewers last night, and they paid out on that. So can they do the same thing here? Again, the Brewers, as far as standings go with them, 3 games up on Chicago. So these are all games that are still must win for them. Chicago is in Colorado, so you think that they're going to win there. You're going to have a very motivated Brewers squad at home tonight against the Marlins team. Well, they've had a nice season, and they're doing decently now to hang in there. But the Brewers just may be better. That's all. Just outclassed a little bit, especially with the pitching. Even though the Marlins have decent pitching, the Brewers are better. Rays at the Twins. We talked about games maybe starting not to matter as much for the Twins, only because of their lead here in the Central. But they need to string together a few more wins and Cleveland losses, and they'll be a lock to get home the AL Central. Rays still fighting for what they have to have, 39-31 for them, and they can still chase down the Orioles. So I'll expect a good effort from the Rays tonight. Littell is the pitcher who's been decent for the Rays, 3-5, 4.29 ERA, but not the worst. Not the worst when he gets out there. Seems to just have a little bit of bad luck offensively as well. Joe Ryan, good season for him, 10-9, 4.21 ERA for the Twins. 169 Ks in 141 innings for Joe Ryan. So good strikeout numbers for him. I don't know. The Twins are still motivated completely. Tampa is as well. So harder to handicap. But if you're getting a good plus number, maybe take a risk on the Rays. All right. 0-0 bottom first, no out, bases loaded, 3-2 count for the White Sox. It says that we're all super worried about that right now. All right, back to the schedule. Who else do we got? Nope. Yeah, again, I mean, you're just not turned on by some of these games when everyone else is kind of in it. Some of these teams have started to fade out. Royals and White Sox game 2, for example. I mean, we'll lay off of that. Athletics and the Astros. Now, the Astros minus 320 tonight. Losers 5-0. You got to give the A's a little bit of credit. They're playing a little harder down the stretch. And again, you're just going to group the Astros in that group of teams in that division where, they just don't seem to want it. I mean, who's going to keep screwing this up The most JP Sears, even at 4-11, isn't the worst pitcher in the world for the A's. Verlander, 11-7, 3.23 ERA, but he's been roughed up at times, even though he beats Scherzer his last time out. So it's just kind of hard. I guess you got to trust Verlander in this scenario, but the A's have just been chippy, and they beat the Astros last night. So, just I'm not motivated to get involved with the Astros. I just aren't. Really any team in that division at this point, as they just all kind of want to crap it away at different times. The Cubs and the Rockies, I think this is a game you can take. The over-under set high at 12.5, minus 190. It is 84 degrees at Coors Field, so that is warm. The ball can fly. But there are times where these Rockies are not putting up runs at all. And Javier Assad is a decent pitcher, 2.83 ERA. If he has some good success tonight, then the Rockies could lose this game something like 8-1, 9-1, even maybe a little bit less than that. Chris Flexen has been terrible for the Rockies, but he used to be a good pitcher, so who knows what's happened to him. 7.36 ERA for Flexen. So you would expect the Cubs to blow it out, but can they get to 10, 11 runs? I don't know. Their lineup is unavailable as well right now. So we will say something like, if you want to take a risk on this, if you want the better payout number, you just hope the Rockies have nothing on offense. And what you do is you go ahead and I think you can get under 1.5. I'm sorry, Cubs minus 1.5, under 10.5. So you get a 6-4 game. 8-2 gets you there. 9-1 gets you there. But 1.5, under 10.5 for the Cubs and the under, and hope that's how that pays out. But that's almost a 4-1 bet on the payout. So not a bad number. I think if Assad can just shut down the Rockies. So that's one of the better plays I like tonight. Instead of trying to root for 15 runs at Coors Field, just hope that the Rockies can't score and Assad does well. The Angels beat the Mariners last night. The Mariners doing me wrong because I think if they just cover that number, I had them minus 2.5 over 6.5. They go up 3-0, and then not much after that until extra innings. In fact, they didn't score after that until extra innings, and the Angels put them away in extras. So loser ticket there for me. Tonight, the pitchers. Patrick Sandoval, 7-10, 4.31 ERA against Brian Wu, 2-4, 4.50 ERA. Seattle keeps fumbling away. The Angels, you don't know what kind of effort you're going to get from them. So this is going to just turn into a no play at the end of the day. I don't care what the line is. You can't talk me into betting this one. 2 runs on the board for the White Sox. Bases loaded still, no out. Bottom of the first. Let's see here. What's next? Tough game. Giants and Guardians. I mean, if these two teams switched leagues, they'd be the same team, to be honest. 66 degrees, so kind of a cooler night. I think you just bet the under every time these teams play, to be honest. If they play 10 times, it's probably going to go under 7 or 8 times. Cal Quantrill, 2-6, 5.70 ERA against Sean Manaea, 5-5, 5.00 ERA. Manaea kind of comes in out of the bullpen a little bit here and there. Quantrill injured for a decent amount of the season. He has not lived up to his expectations either as well. So what you would think this would be maybe an over game, but you can't trust either one of these offenses at all to put up runs. So when that's all said and done, it is a pass. One thing I've noticed about the Padres is that they are a dead over team lately, I feel like. So let's pull them up here, as they are at the Dodgers. It's either they score the runs or they give up the runs, one or two. Let's see here. Padres. Let's try to track it back. That's a decent amount. Let's see what we got here. We'll go back to September 1st. All right, September 1st. So 19 runs last night, 14 the night before that, 12 before that, 13 before that. So those are 4 super overs in a row. 5-1, 8-0, not no. So 5-2, 9-7, 6-2, 4-0, 6-1, 7-3, 7-3. Okay, so mainly just until Labor Day. All right, so since Labor Day, and that would be 7 games, they are a smash over team, and they play another team, the Dodgers, who are a smash over team as well. So maybe that's the route you take on that one tonight. I was kind of kicking myself I didn't see that. And the Padres, again, are just one of those teams. What kind of effort are you going to get from them? Even though they still are technically in the wild card, it's a shame because if they just have some of these bad losses reversed, they'd be right there. But they are not. They're likely going to miss the playoffs unless they kind of have this magical run. All right, where's this line here? 10-11 p.m. start. Now, this is Michael Wacha against Lance Lynn as well. Wacha got lit up by the Phillies his last time out. Lance Lynn has been a torch. So at over 9, -120, I think that's a good play. Considering Wacha maybe getting a little bit fatigued in that arm. And the Dodgers can hit the ball as well. And you got to imagine the Padres can hit Lance Lynn. Let's see what they have as far as a career batting average against him. Sorry, I'm popping all over here trying to get your random facts for this game. Okay. Padres and Dodgers, 78 degrees in the Chavez Ravine. All right. The Padres career against Lance Lynn. Information lineup unavailable. Okay. Well, there you go. Very anticlimactic. Kind of like the Aaron Rodgers Achilles. I was building up as much as I could towards that. And then a little pop in the balloon makes everything very unexciting and fun. All right, and we'll wish Aaron Rodgers better. We will for sure. I mean, we're not going to be like some of these jergos on the internet cheering injuries. I mean, it's definitely worse for the game that Rodgers has suffered the injury that he has. Brady got knocked out for that 1 year. The Patriots almost made the playoffs. 11-5 they finished. Lost in the tiebreaker to the Dolphins. So Jets fans, don't get been out of shape yet. And I will say this. This is why sports are great, is some of these players get opportunity, okay? Maybe a little bit of redemption here by Mr. Wilson. Or, maybe a veteran comes in and finds glory that he never thought he may have because of this. So fate plays a role in this somehow. And we will see how this transpires here for the Jets. Okay. I think that's going to be about do it. 5-0 White Sox over Kansas City, since you're glued to that score on your drive home. Everyone keep driving safely. We'll get Nephew Dave in here this week. We'll start picking on some of these more NFL games, college games, getting more insight into that, more data, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you need to replay for the baseball slate, go to deepend757.com as soon as we get off of here, and you can pick up the show from scratch. All right, so best bets on the board. We'll do that one last time here as we start to close it out. for the baseball slate tonight. Remember, there's less than 20 games left. Don't get too excited. We skipped this game, Baltimore and the Cardinals. This would be one. Pound on the Orioles to beat the Cardinals. Wainwright on the mound for the Cardinals. So any kind of parlay to the over works for that. Remember, the Phillies own Fried. And Braves, tough time against Wheeler. So maybe the Phillies get an edge. We'll look for... We'll look for the Cubs and the under against the Rockies and the over and the Dodgers. All right, guys. Have a good night.
I keep looking